Should I try to find investors, or should I try to build a book of business before I begin?
That's a great question. And really, when it comes to investors, it's really about how much capital do you need? How much business do you want to give up? How much control do you want to give up? So should you get investors? Maybe. If you have to have capital and you can't get debt capital and you don't have your own funds, then yes, you're going to need investors. But I would always recommend, try to keep as much of the business as you can, as much control as you can, because every entrepreneur I've ever met with, when they start raising capital, they give up control and then their life changes from what they're used to. So as far as the investor question, Fred, what do you think about that?
Speaking from my own experience, maybe a couple of years ago, I was looking at the possibility of inviting investors to invest into my company because I was looking to take it to the next level. But over a period of time, our business picked up, our revenue increased dramatically, so that eliminated the need for investors. But yes, I totally agree with what you've said.
Along with investors, there's also other sources of capital. There could be banks. So
Yes.
what's your take on banking?
My take on banking for the small business owner is, if I had to give advice to a small business owner, I would steer them toward the community banks first, the smaller banks. They seem to be a little bit more in tune with working with the small business owner, and they're more involved in the community than the bigger banks.
Right. Of course, that's how we met.
Exactly, that's how we met, with the small bank, yes.
Okay.
And people ask me that question, and I always recommend them to the smaller community banks because they're friendlier and they're more involved as well too. Not to say that the big banks aren't, but that's just been my experience with them.
The second part of that question was, should I build my book of business before I start my business? So, which I think, if I understand the question correctly, that is, if I'm leaving somewhere else, or I'm a technician somewhere else, or I'm an expert somewhere, how do I build a book of business? Do I build it and then take it with me, or do I start my business and then build it? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's a touchy situation as well too, because if you're working for someone and you decide to take business with you, you're taking your previous employer's customers or clients with you, and I don't recommend that. I recommend that that you build your business based off your own knowledge and experience, and if you're pretty good at what you do, then they'll come to you. You'll find the clients, the customers.
Yeah, and we always have to say in that, got to be careful, make sure you do what's legal and ethical. Right?
Absolutely,
Okay.
Absolutely, yes. And I'm a firm believer in, as far as taking clients with you from a previous employer, if that's the if that's the direction that you're thinking that you want to go in, I wouldn't recommend that, because I believe that things don't succeed when you don't.
But ultimately, if the client wants to go, they're going to go.
Absolutely,
right.
Yes. So in that situation, you leave it up to the client. I worked for an employer before, and I decided to leave the company and go start my own business, and I informed the clients that I was no longer going to be working there. I did not solicit them to come and join me, but I just informed them that I would no longer be working there, and then they make the decision themselves.